Hello, everybody. Day 5 is here, the final day of the live series. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for all the great feedback I've been getting from you guys over this week, giving me encouragement during my first live series. Just making sure that this is live in the page, and it is. So let's get going. Please like and comment and let me know that you're here in the group watching. I would love to get your comments. And especially today, it's the last day of the live. Please throw in those questions. I'd love to cram as many answers as possible into this last session. Hey, morning, Danielle. Glad you're making the last day. So today's exciting. I'm sharing my little black book, guys. This is like all the gold. This is all the gold dust. These are all the tools that I use to create the amazing websites I do for my clients. So I'm sharing all of those links. I'll be posting them in the comments below this as we go. And today is really talking about ticking the right tick boxes. So you can spend a lot of time and waste a lot of time going down the wrong rabbit holes. We've all been there and done that. So what you really need is somebody just giving you great advice. My advice online is always take the advice from whence it comes. So learn how to curate, who you follow, whose advice you follow, etc. And, you've got to realize that everybody out there is on social putting forward their 2 cents worth, and sometimes it's not a very good 2 cents worth that you're getting. So my advice with everything online is critically curate where your information is coming from. Hey, Zenta, good morning. Glad you're on here with us today. So I'm going to go through some of the tech stuff. Now, I know, nobody likes to actually think about the tech. We're more impressed, or most of my clients are more impressed by the bells and whistles and the glitter and glam and the look and feel, right, of what the website looks like. Morning, Jenny. Good to have you here. So it's vitally important. Like, I cannot even tell you, and Danielle, who's on this live, will agree with me 100% how important it is to get your tech choices right, okay? Because you could create this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful website, and if it's not built correctly and if Google doesn't like it, nobody's ever going to find you. Nobody's ever going to find you. So gone are the days of if you build it, they will come. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist when it comes to web. Building your beautiful website is just step one. And what you want to make sure you're doing is getting the tech right so that you can advance to step 2, which is actually getting it out there and getting people to find you and building your audience. Because at the end of the day, that's what all of this is about. It's about building that audience that is going to trust you and eventually going to buy from you. So that very attractive ATM model. We talk about audience, trust, monetize. And if you want to take money out of that ATM, guess what you got to do? You got to build that audience. You got to start with the A. And the only way to do that is to put content out on various platforms. So let's talk about these platforms to start with. Where should you be putting your content out? What should you be doing? Where should you be marketing your stuff if you get your website right? I'm going to just touch on that very briefly and say if all you're doing is promoting yourself on social, you are setting yourself up for potential failure. That is not the be all and end all. You really need to have a strategy that is around promoting the content that you're putting out in search engines. So I mentioned this earlier in the week. What do we mean by search engines? We mean places people go to search for stuff. So Google is a search engine. YouTube is a search engine. Pinterest is a search engine. So you want to be putting out content on search engines, not just putting out content on Facebook and Insta. Facebook and Insta, you're pretty much promoting yourself to your existing audience. Yes, some people go viral, grow their audiences, etc. And even when they do, sometimes the conversion from that audience, it's like, great, I've got a 10,000 following, but nobody's bought anything from me on Insta. Nobody's come to my website and actually engaged with me. nobody's done anything other than check out my cool, reels. So you need to be making sure that in your strategy of getting yourself out there, that you're including the search engines, also because that stuff is out there for longer. Social, it's scroll, 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 you're gone. Whereas when people are actually searching for relevant information, when your potential customers are searching for relevant information, they could be finding a blog post you wrote a year ago, a YouTube clip you put up 6 months ago, or a Pinterest pin that's been, being repinned for the last 18 months automatically by your tailwind. So you just want to make sure that you don't forget about search engines in your strategy. That is my advice this morning. Okay, so let's talk about the things that are important from a tech perspective. Massively important at the moment, the big buzzword is core web vitals. So basically all core web vitals is Google looking at your website and saying, okay, tick, tick, tick. This is a cool site. It loads nice and fast. It sort of ticks all of my core web vital boxes. Great. If this information from this website and this information from this website, both awesome articles, the one that has the better ranking in core web vitals is going to be presented to the person searching in Google before the one that doesn't rank well. So very important. In fact, Google have said that they are putting that out from May. They're launching this whole core web vitals thing. And they've been talking about this for years. They've been talking about penalizing sites that are slow to load. Basically just comes down to the user experience, right? So anything that negatively affects your user experience, like load times, if you've got bad load times, you've got bad core web vitals, you are going to go down in the rankings versus somebody that has better core web vitals. So that's all core web vitals is. There's a lot of tech information out there, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's does your site load quickly and easily when somebody lands on it? Can they interact with it quickly and easily? That's what it boils down to. So how do we know if our site is okay on core web vitals or not? I'm checking to see a few comments here. Yes, exactly. So Danielle, Insta and Facebook are great places to repurpose content, but it shouldn't be where people start. 150%. Hey, Chantal, great having you on here. Happy Friday. So we are going to talk about how you test your website to make sure that it ranks well for Google's core web vitals. So there's loads of places you can test this. You can test this with the Google Page Speed Insights that you can go and Google. I tend not to test that because it has very limited abilities in terms of how you can test it. And we aren't all in America, let's say. And so the Google testing can sometimes be a little bit harsh if you are someone that's maybe in the UK or in Oz or somewhere else in the world. So I like using GTmetrix. Is what I use. So it's gtmetrix.com. I'm going to actually post the URL into the comments for you guys as we go. And just let me know if that, yeah, I did post. Wonderful. So GTmetrix is my go-to for testing core web vitals. So I'm going to share my browser, show you what GTmetrix looks like. So this is GTmetrix. It looks a little bit scary, but it's actually not that bad. And you can create a free account. So you can actually go ahead and create a free account. I'm logged into my account at the moment. I do have a pay account. The only reason I have a pay account is because I want to sometimes test speeds, site speeds, etc. for my clients in South Africa. And that's not one of the locations you can test in a free GTmetrix test. So GTmetrix, you go off to GTmetrix's homepage, and this is what you see over here. And right over here, you can paste your URL in and you can click Analyze. Before you do that, you can click on this little drop down here, and this is quite important. You've got some options to analyze your site. So the important thing is to test from a location as close to you as possible. This gives you the most kind of real world metrics, as it were, because it's testing for your market close to wherever your website is hosted. So this is my first very important tech tip, is make sure, obviously, that you have good hosting, and we're going to talk about that shortly, but also that you host your website on a server close to where your ideal clients are. So a lot of us do have, international clients, international audiences. I mean, my audience is quite international. I've mentioned I've got clients from, Hawaii to Bali and down under to the UK. So, I mean, it's not like one country stands out in my client base. My clients are all over the world. So there are strategies we use when you have an international client base. You want to be using something called a content delivery network. You want to be using something like Cloudflare or something else to just help your images basically get saved around the world on different servers, so that if somebody accesses your website from another country different to where your host is, that it's a fairly speedy load for them. So there are strategies, but for most of us target an audience that's in either in the same country as us or in the same part of the world. So if you're an American entrepreneur, you typically are working with other American entrepreneurs. You want to make sure your site is hosted in the States. If you are UK based and most of your clients are UK based, you want to make sure that your site is hosted in the UK. It also comes down to time zones, so typically you're going to host your site wherever most of your clients are, and sometimes it's where you are. Okay, so let's go back to that browser view. So once you've hosted your site close to you, you want to test your site, you go and click on the drop down and you choose a country or an area that's close to where you are. So you'll see there's various options here from North America, Europe, Middle East, Asia Pacific, etc., and even one in Africa for me down here in South Africa. Okay, so choose the location close to where you are. You can leave the rest of these settings as is, and you literally hit the analyze button. And when you do that, you will get, after a few seconds, you'll get your results. So this, for example, is results of an opt-in page template that I developed, that I sell on my Driven Entrepreneur Academy. And you can see we've got all greens here, and 100%, 93%, etc., etc. That's what you really want to see. If you're seeing lots of orange and red here, you need to look a little bit deeper and see what's the cause of that. So I'm going to give you literally like a 2-minute masterclass in how to determine where your problems are, where your likely problems are, because it generally comes down to two things. 90% of the time, in terms of core web vitals, it comes down to two things. The most important thing is actually hosting a lot of the time. So a lot of the time you can literally move a website from one host, a shared host, a not so good host, to a good host, and literally you'll go, it's ridiculous. You'll go from like C's and D's and oranges and reds to literally greens. So hosting alone can solve a multitude of sins. Not all hosts are created equally, and that's something that a lot of people, and especially DIYers and people that are building their sites for themselves, they really don't understand it, and they think hosting is hosting, so I'm going to look around and get whatever the cheapest hosting is, and that's not necessarily good for your website. You could actually just be shooting yourself in the foot. So you really need to make sure you get good hosting. That's one of the first things you do. Who I recommend for hosting is Cloudways. Cloudways is my go-to. This is my VIP clients, and I'm posting the link in there for you. My VIP clients, all my websites, etc., we're all on Cloudways. Cloudways is unbelievable and doesn't need to be expensive. The $20 Cloudways account is going to be 150% for most of us for one site. And I've got a fantastic YouTube clip as well. I will post that in later after this live, of how to move your website from your other, whichever place you are currently hosting, to Cloudways. So I'll pop that YouTube clip in here. I would highly recommend that if you're getting a lot of oranges and reds here, that you move. So Danielle has said, I've just put my new client on this. So I actually host Danielle's hubby's site, which we spoke about earlier in the week, the 2020 financial. And in fact, I think I've got it. Here we go. I've got 2020 Financial up as one of my reports to show you what good hosting does for a website. And it's not to say that, you need to keep your website boring with no images, etc. If you want a really dynamic, imagey website, etc., you need decent hosting. Okay, so let's go back to looking at this report and kind of deciphering if you need help or not, and what kind of help you need. So the first thing to look at is obviously your time to first byte. So I'm going back to my browser view. And over here in the results, the first number you're going to be, or the first variable you're going to be looking for in these results is your time to first byte. So this is very important. This is how long it takes for your server to actually start sending stuff back to the person's browser so that they can start seeing a website. You want this number to be nice and low. You want it to be microseconds like this. If your time to first byte is, 2 seconds, or, anything more than 1 second, anything more than less than 1 second, I'm already starting to go, this is one of two things. This is that your hosting is really shoddy. You're probably on shared hosting, which means your website is one of thousands on a server. That's how they make their money, and that's how they make their hosting so cheap. And it means you all sharing resources, right? So it's like trying to share, one meal amongst 500 people when actually that meal is only intended to be for 5 people. So that's how most shared hosting make their money, is by cramming more of you into a tin, and your performance is going to be affected. So this is the first indicator that you need to move your hosting. If your time to first byte is high, you need to move your hosting. The other very important variable is this first contentful paint. So what that means is, how long does it take before somebody actually can see something on the screen? So again, if this is already sitting at 2 seconds, and then it's 3 seconds before someone sees something on the screen, guess what? Most people, if it's more than 2 seconds for a fully loaded site, they have bounced off it. So the next variable you're going to look at here is this fully loaded time. How long did it take to get your site fully loaded? So if your site is taking more than 2 seconds to get fully loaded, you have possibly got some problems that you need to consider fixing. So how do you determine what the problems are? The next thing I would look at is, if you scroll a little bit further down on this report, you're going to come to this little section here, the total page size. Now, if your total page size is pretty low and your time for the site to load is pretty high, you have a problem with hosting. Because if your site is super small, it should be loading super quick, like super, super quick. And so what size do you want to be aiming for? Okay, so if you speak to hardcore developers, website developers, they're going to tell you they want this number here to be under 500 kilobytes. Okay, so that's all well and good in the if we were all perfect and the web was all perfect world. However, for most of my clients who are creative entrepreneurs, you photographers, you coaches, you are personal brands, and you are all about the images that are on your website. Most of you, one image on the homepage is 500K, let alone the whole page. So for my clients that are more visual brands, let's call them visual brands, I try and keep the pages under 5 megabytes. I mean, if it gets to 5 megabytes, that's a pretty chunky page. And then we really need to look at critically, can we bring that down? Can we optimize those images, etc.? So if you're sitting with a small page, like under 1 meg, and your page is taking, 3 or 4 seconds to load, you are pretty much guaranteed that your hosting is a problem. Little caveat here, the other thing that could be a problem is the tools you're using on your website. So you may have a website, you may have installed 60 plugins that do all sorts of stuff that you never even use. Every plugin you add, everything you add onto that site affects the load time. So it's possible you may be on good hosting, and you may have just done a really bad job of choosing the tools for your website. That it could also be a factor. But in my experience with my kind of clients, it comes down to two things: hosting and the size of your page, the size of your images. So if this number is very large and it's telling you you have over here, it's going to tell you, and let's see if we can find some results that have that. No, in fact, I haven't even brought up any results that have big pages. I'm showing you just the difference between good hosting and bad hosting here. So I haven't brought any, but you will see over here the top issues in red and yellow. It's going to tell you your top issues. And if you've got too many elements, it's going to tell you here. It's going to actually tell you you've got too many elements and you've got too many images and they're too big. When you click on this drop down, it's actually going to list what the issues are with that web page. So just spend a little bit of time analyzing this screen. It's free to go and do your GT metrics report. And if you've got things that are not in the green here, then you need to have a look at either getting those images down, maybe resizing them for web. You may have uploaded a 5 meg image as it came out of your camera and you haven't actually optimized it for web. So you need to go and optimize your images. You can also use something like Short Pixel is a great plugin if you want to have your website actually optimize your images for you. But typically my clients comes down to hosting or images. So I just want to show you an example here. And this is a client that actually I consulted for about a month ago. And she was really concerned about the performance of her website. So she had done this for herself and she just asked me to have a look at it and give her some advice going forward, what to do with it. And the first thing I did was check out her GT metrics report and look at this. You see, so we're seeing some really reds here and we're seeing some quite crazy loading times. So she had a time to first byte here of 3.3 seconds. So this is a prime example, like really high time to first byte. And her fully loaded time was 8.7 megs. I mean, 8.7 seconds. That's huge. Nobody is still going to be there waiting for your site to load 8 seconds later. Let me tell you, they are gone. Gone, gone, gone. Not even. Like they didn't even wait a quarter of that time. So I scrolled down and I had a look here, expecting the page size to be really big, but it really wasn't. 1.5 megs. 1.5 megs. That's really not that large. So what is the cause of this? You can bet your bottom dollar this was hosting. So I'm not going to mention who this was, but this is quite a notorious host that a lot of newbies use, and the hosting is absolutely hideous. So right up here, you're going to see, it's going to tell you in red and in orange the problems, your problem children, right? So high reduce initial server response time. It's telling you the server's taking a long time. Eliminate render blocking resources. So this is all about things that are taking up space on your site. But if you've got a site that's not that big, 1.5 megs, and it's taking 8.7 seconds to load, I'm pretty much guaranteeing you that's your hosting. If you look at Danielle's hubby site, here we have a site that's double the size, 3 megs, okay, 3 megs, still not huge, and it's loading in under 1 second, 0.9 seconds. It's fully loaded and it's rating A. So that's just, quick little masterclass of how you test this. And does it rhyme with Smoo Host? What is Smoo Host? What was I talking about? Smoo Host? Which host is that? I can't remember what I said. Does it rhyme with Smoo Host? No, it rhymes with HoDaddy. HoDaddy is what it should be called because it's not with a G. So there's definitely some hosts out there. We as developers know we don't touch with a 10-foot pole, just stay away from shared hosting. Stay away from shared hosting completely. Okay, so that's just a little bit about core web vitals, how you can test to make sure that yours is at least on the right track, and how to determine what the issues might be on your website. So images are a big thing. And in fact, I didn't have a window open with this, but I'm going to quickly go there. If you are a creative entrepreneur, you've built your own site, and the results in your GT metrics tell you that your size of your page is enormous and it's mainly images, you're going to want a tiny PNG is going to be your friend, right? So come to tinypng.com. I'm going to pop that in the comments for you. And what you're going to do is just literally drag your images into tiny PNG, into this box here, and it'll automatically download them, optimize them, and have them down below. You click on download, you download the optimized version of your image, and it literally, I mean, it takes, it'll take a meg image and it'll make it, 100K or something. So when I'm building very long sites, sites like Sabrina Phillips, for example, who I mentioned earlier this week, has super, super, super long and very high design sales pages that Carol designs for her. There's a lot of images, a lot of design elements. I'm running every single image through Tiny PNG before I even put it into the website, so that I can really make sure that that page is as small as it can possibly be, even with all of the bells and whistles on the page. So Tiny PNG is your friend. Make sure you run all your images through Tiny PNG before you upload them to your website. Okay, so let's just go back to talking a little bit about high level stuff here. So in terms of your tech stack, obviously, we've been, let's call it, I almost want to say, kind of platform agnostic this week in this training, because most of this training has been general enough that it can apply to you across whatever platform you are working on. Doesn't necessarily have to be WordPress, for example, which is my platform of choice for myself and my clients. So you could be building your site on Wix, on Squarespace. You could be using ClickFunnels. You could be using, 150 tools out there. There are, loads and loads of places that you can build your website. So let's just talk about that choice first of all. If you haven't started building your website yet and you're about to start, how do you choose where to work? And how do you weigh up the pros and cons of those options? So I'm going to talk about what I call third-party hosting or third-party website solutions and self-hosted. So this is kind of like the difference between renting a home and owning a home. So yes, you can go and create a website on Wix pretty quickly and damn cheaply, even for free. Same sort of thing on Squarespace. But at the end of the day, you are building your business in rental space. So you are paying, if you're on the pay option, for space on their servers. It's their servers, they control, and you are renting. You're a renter. And when it comes to web, what we want to be is owners, because you want to own your own content and have full control over your content. If your Google Core Web Vitals are not good, you want to be able to do something about that on your website. You want to be able to move it where you want to move it, host it where you want to host it, optimize it the way you want to optimize it, make your SEO work the way you want to make it work. You want to make sure that you have all the power of an owner and that you're not sitting in a rental property in a lease that goes on for a year or two and it's not fulfilling your needs, and there's nothing you can do about it. And what's worse is your owner, your landlord, can decide tomorrow, you know what, the rental is going to increase, and actually now you need to start paying for utilities, and I'm going to take a commission out of everything that you generate in this house at the moment. So it's their platform. It's their house. They can do absolutely anything they want, and they do. Platforms change the rules all the time. They change the terms all the time. If you go and read the fine print on every third-party solution out there, it is going to say in that fine print, we reserve the right to change our terms, change our rates, basically change whatever we want anytime we want. And guess what? It doesn't matter how big they are, they could also just close down and go. So imagine if you have built your entire online course on a third-party solution, and then that third-party solution gets acquired by someone else, and the company that they're acquired by doesn't actually want that thing running. They have a different platform that they want to push, and they decide they're closing down that platform. They sometimes give you the option to move over at a rate or whatever, but at the end of the day, they are holding that rug and they've told you, I'm pulling the rug. And your website's gone, all your content's gone, everything that you've put blood, sweat, and tears into has gone. I have seen it. I've been in this business for 20 years. So let me tell you, I don't know if I've got halves, but literally every time I talk about this topic of third party versus self-hosted, I actually get halves because I think about clients of mine that have been in this exact situation. I literally have had clients where their online stores were shut down by a service that was cheap. So everyone hopped on it thinking, well, this is a dream. I mean, we set up our online stores. It costs us literally, pennies a month. This is a no-brainer. Hundreds of online store owners moved across to the platform, and they did not have a model that is sustainable because it costs money to have an online store, and they were not charging enough money to cover the costs. And so when they didn't get a gazillion million people signing up and they only got a few thousand, those few thousand disappeared, gone. Businesses gone, start from scratch. And guess where they all started? They all started on WordPress. So long and the short of it is, I would highly recommend you choose to own your own home rather than renting. And you choose to build whatever you are building on your own website if you can at all, if it's at all possible for you. So Danielle's saying back in the day, she built her singing website on Moonfruit. Who's Moonfruit? They were about 2 years behind with mobile responsiveness and completely useless. And I've never even heard of them, so I don't even know if they still exist. So there you go, right? And at the time, they were probably doing great marketing and getting all these people in. But yeah. So be careful the base that you choose to build your website on. I highly recommend you build your website on something where you own it, something like WordPress, self-hosted on your own hosting server. You have full control over everything. You're not paying commissions to anyone on sales. There's, generally no ongoing payments even, so depending on the tools you choose, obviously. So that's my little rant about third party versus self-hosted. So there's upsides and downsides, right? There are upsides to going with a third party, something like Squarespace or Wix. I mean, the upsides is they look after the infrastructure for you, okay? So they look after the servers for you. You don't have to worry about things like updating things in WordPress. That's the upside. Generally speaking, it's quite quick and easy to get started with templates. Arguably exactly the same quick and easy experience to get started in WordPress with templates if you're choosing the right tools. Those are the upsides. You can get started quickly. The downsides are generally those platforms are all based on getting you to gradually increase what you're spending with them over time. So the same with Shopify for an online store. I mean, I like Shopify. I personally prefer WooCommerce on my own website, but I absolutely see how Shopify is very attractive for people starting out with online stores. Do understand though, as you add functionality to your store with Shopify, what you're paying is going to increase. And then eventually you get to a stage where you're paying a monthly fee every month. That's like, am I actually even making a profit? And it's great if you're making, oodles of sales through your stores, then it's a no-brainer for you. But if you're only doing, a couple of $1,000 and you sort of, throwing away $500 or $1,000 a month to Shopify, then it starts going, okay, like what is Shopify a shareholder in my business that they're earning so much money from me? So yes, just be careful about thinking about your medium-term goals and trying to rather start on a platform that's going to support you in your goals going forward. So let me get off the soapbox now about third party versus down, versus your own self-hosted. Be an owner, not a renter. Okay, so let's jump in and talk about some of my favorite tools, because that's what you all want to know. So, what are my favorite tools? So, a lot of the time people want that kind of drag and drop sort of experience, and that's the thing with Wix that a lot of people really love and really want. And they think they can't get that with WordPress. And that is total nonsense, because we've got amazing page builders like Beaver Builder. So Beaver Builder gives you that kind of drag and drop experience that you're used to. It's also really, really lean. So in the WordPress world, you will find that there's definitely more than one page builder, and not all page builders are created equally, just the same as not all hosting is created equally. So there are page builders I would recommend, and there are ones that I wouldn't recommend. So personally, I work with Beaver Builder. There's two other page builders I would recommend, and one is actually Gutenberg itself. In other words, WordPress, the WordPress core. They have their own little block builder. I would highly recommend Gutenberg. And that's sort of the way WordPress is going. So you want to start embracing that. You can really create stunning layouts with Gutenberg. And the other one I would recommend looking at is Oxygen. So Oxygen's a bit of an up-and-coming newbie on the scene, as it were, of page builders. But it's also super lean and pared down. And that's really what you want in order to ensure that these things here actually score well, because if you're using a page builder that's loading 150 things, then it's potentially going to slow your website down. And you also want to look at stability, of those tools. When you update a tool, does it, break your website? Like, that's the last thing you want, especially if you're a DIYer. You want a really reliable tool. So if you want a reliable tool that gives you all the bells and whistles, Beaver Builder is it. All my client sites, everything I've showed you over the last week, they are all built with Beaver Builder. So that is my go-to, nice and lean. What is the next thing I want to talk about is some of the tools to create some of the functionality on your sites. So the functionality like your online stores, for example. What do I recommend? I recommend Woocommerce. So Woocommerce is actually free. You go ahead and you install it on your website, and for free and for nothing, you can hook up PayPal, for example, and you have a free store done. That's really what I would recommend. You can set it up pretty damn easily, like out the box. If you are a DIYer and you want to start doing this for yourself, go over here on my Go page that I've been telling you about all week, onedaywebs.com. Go and do this course. It's going to teach you how to build a website with all free tools. One of the things I teach you in that course is how to build your online store. And really, you can get going for absolutely nothing. So if you're a DIYer that's been watching this series, you want to, go and have a look at my course. So Danielle says that 2020 financial site, it used to be built with Avada. So Avada was a theme and a page builder kind of bundled together, a bit like Divi. And I would say Avada and Divi pretty much, sort of belong in the same basket. It's something that a lot of people start out with because, again, they find, they market themselves well, shall we say that? Their marketing is good. And so you buy the Kool-Aid, right? You buy into the Kool-Aid and you set your site up and you set yourself up for terrible, terrible rankings. So really it's very important to build on a good base. Okay, so that's my little tip for e-commerce stores. What about if you're wanting to build a online course or a membership site? Then you're going to want to work with Lifter LMS. So this is my tool of choice. There are others. This is not to say that this is the perfect tool. I'm popping links in, by the way, as I mention these. So Lifter LMS is kind of an all-in-one tool, and that's why I love working with it. It also integrates very well with a lot of themes. So there is a free theme out there I would recommend called Cadence, and it's amazing. And I actually worked with the developers of the Cadence theme, and I got them to do some stunning Lifter LMS styling. So yep, you can thank me for that. And now everyone in the Lifter LMS kind of infrastructure or community are all on the Cadence bandwagon and raving about Cadence because out the box, this free theme has amazing styles for your Lifter LMS online course or membership. So you want to be using Lifter LMS. There are paid add-ons to Lifter LMS, but the base of Lifter LMS is absolutely free. So you can, again, go and install Lifter LMS in WordPress. It's in the repository for free. You can set up your course for nothing. And once you want to start adding things like people being able to pay, etc., or hooking it up with other elements and your mailing list, etc., then there are paid add-ons for those bits of Lifter LMS. But Lifter LMS is amazing. It's kind of an all-in-one, and that's why I love it. So that's how I build all of my my online courses for all my VIP clients that are setting up memberships or online courses. That's what I'm using. So I'm only recommending things that I use personally here, guys. And yes, these are affiliate links. So if you use them, I may or may not get a small kickback. I would love it if you do use them if you are buying any of these tools, because at the end of the day, I need to eat while I do these free trainings. So please use my links. Chanel says, I love Lifter LMS. Yeah, so Chanel's site is built with Lifter LMS. The whole kit and caboodle is built with it. So earlier in the week, I mentioned muted autoplay videos. So I'm putting the next little link in the comments down below. And this is Presto Player. Presto Player is amazing. So this muted autoplay thing is amazing. If you've got sales videos, webinars, etc., this is so good for conversion. So one of my favorite clients mentioned earlier in the week, Jennifer with Academy of Modern Celebrancy, this is working incredibly well for her on her websites. So Google doesn't like it if you autoplay videos generally. However, you can do a muted autoplay like this, and Google will still love you. And what does this do? It actually entices you in to watch the video and to click play. It's just much more conversion focused, shall we call it, than having just a screenshot with a play button. It really draws you in. Oh my gosh, they've released amazing features since launching. It's quite a new plugin, and one of the features that they've released is a email gate, I think they call it. So you can pop a video onto a page on your website, you can let it play for a minute, and then it pops up and says, can I have your email address to continue watching? So think about the opportunities just there of growing your list. If you have something of great value, I could repurpose some of these lives I've done this week, for example, pop one or two of them on a page on my site and ask people for their email address to continue watching the rest of the lesson. Simple pimple and a great way to grow your list. Presto Player is one of the tools that I've also used to set up webinar type functionality. So like evergreen video webinars. So Chanel, we mentioned earlier in the week, this is one of the pieces of tech that has replaced a tool that was costing her $197 a month, I think it was, to host her evergreen webinar. And we moved that functionality onto her own website with the functionality, the existing tools she had on her website, and we added Presto Player to help us with that functionality on her website. So now she's not paying that third party almost $200 a month, and she's still got the same functionality that's converting for her at the same rate. So that was my next tip of tools to use. What else? Oh, of course, one of my absolute favorite tools. I cannot tell you how much I love cart flows. Cart flows is a game changer. So if you are using WooCommerce on your website, so this is the caveat, cart flows only works with WooCommerce. So if you're setting up your online course with Lifter LMS, you would need to integrate with WooCommerce in order to use cart flows. So well worth getting yourself on some decent hosting and doing that, because as I showed you yesterday, you have amazing checkouts, beautiful checkout flows and upsells and order bumps and checkout offers and all of that good stuff, those checkout funnels, as we call them, can be created so easily with cart flows with the page builder that you are using on your site. So cart flows is an absolute must, especially if you're at the stage in your business where you're thinking about how to make more money when people are going to purchase something from you, how to increase that cart size, how to add extra things quite easily. Cart flows is going to be your best friend. Something else that people ask me about often is affiliate functionality. So, I mean, the best way to market your services and your products is having your clients go ahead and share that with people that they think it might be valuable to. So, most of my work comes from referrals. So, I am 150% willing to pay people affiliate commissions. Hello, it's a no brainer. Just the same as all of these links that I'm popping into the timeline as I talk about these tools. These are all affiliate links. So I pay to use this product. I set up an affiliate link. It's something I recommend. Why not recommend it with an affiliate link and get a small commission out of making that referral of a tool that you would be referring anyway? So affiliate links can be very powerful, especially if you're a course creator. So somebody comes on your course, they absolutely love it, and they want to go and tell everyone about it. Can even work if you're a coach. You know, you want previous clients to tell people about your coaching, or your membership or whatever. You get them all on affiliate links and you get them sharing. They're going to go and share it with their communities, and suddenly you're getting all these sales, and you're more than happy to give a cut. What do I use? Affiliate WP. So this is super simple, literally just a plugin. There is a fee associated, but if you're at the stage where you're starting to work with affiliates, etc., you probably can afford it in your business to take things to the next level. And so affiliate WP is what I would recommend. It integrates with Woocommerce, Lifter LMS, all the tools that I've been talking about, and it does it all automatically. Your clients log in, they go and create their affiliate links. They share it all and it tracks it all for you. So you know exactly which sales are attributed to exactly which person and how much commission you need to pay them. It's got a lovely little dashboard that they can log in and see exactly how many people have clicked, how many have converted, all of that good stuff. So if you've ever set up your affiliate, as an affiliate on any system, it's the same kind of thing. So that's quick and easy. Install it and you're done. So that is what I would recommend for affiliates. And then one other tool I want to talk about before we end off today is my new best friend, Jarvis. My new best friend, Jarvis. This is Conversion.ai. So basically what Conversion.ai is it's turning yourself into a copywriter, basically. So if you're not good at writing copy, that's me. Like, I can prattle on for 50 minutes on a live on video like this, no problem. But if I sit down in front of a blank Google Doc and try and write something, I am useless. So Jarvis is my best friend because Jarvis is amazing. You can go in and create all sorts of content using the power of AI. So you just go and put in a few keywords or a short little paragraph about what you want to, and there you go. Danielle loves Jarvis. I know, she's another convert. So many people in my sort of circle are just singing. I mean, people want to marry Jarvis right now, singing Jarvis's praises. So you can go and put in a few sentences and a description of what you want to talk about into a template, and there's all sorts of sort of templates of what you want to create. So if you want to create a YouTube title, or if you want to create a blog outline or a blog introduction or blog titles, you want to create an email, there's all these templates. You go and put in a little bit of information. The thing that is amazing is you can actually put in a tone of voice, which is massive. So you can actually say to Jarvis, I want to write this and I want to sound like Marie Forleo or whoever. Or you can say, I want to be funny, or I want to be influential, or I want to be trustworthy. You give it a tone that it's going to write in, and Jarvis writes this content and spits out like 3 options. You can pick from there and you can go and just create more and more content. So people are literally writing books with Conversion AI. long form posts people are writing, social media posts, they're bringing out new stuff all the time. They've got an amazing integration if you're interested in search engine optimization, which is basically making those things that you're producing on your website, making Google love them. They have an integration with Surfer SEO. So as you are writing your content on the one side, you can literally see where you're going, what words you need to add into that content, how that's ranking in terms of will Google like it and how much will it like it. So if you're familiar with Yoast SEO or Rank Math or any of those other tools, if you're using any SEO tools on your website at the moment and you're blogging, when you see those little, you see the green or the orange and it says to you, oh, you need to put more of this in and you need to add more headings and you need to add keywords and you need to add this and that and the other thing. It's telling you right in the thing that you're writing the copy in exactly what you need to add as you go. So it is unbelievably powerful, especially if you're not a natural copywriter. Like I am not a natural copywriter. It's just amazing. It really saves me a huge amount of time because I can get into paralysis by analysis mode absolutely when it comes to creating content. So that gets me right out of my paralysis by analysis mode. So I have popped all of these amazing links. Oh, you know what? There's one more that I haven't mentioned. And that is if you are wanting to create a podcast. So I know that's pretty huge at the moment. Everybody wants to create a podcast. So what do I recommend for podcasting? I recommend Castos. And Castos and their plugin called Seriously Simple Podcasting, which is this WordPress plugin over here, integrates directly into your WordPress website, and you can actually upload your episodes of your podcast directly in your WordPress website, just as if you were uploading a blog, and it publishes it automatically to wherever you've chosen to syndicate it to, iTunes, etc., etc. So I know that's one that is quite popular at the moment, creating podcasts. So that is what I would recommend, and I've popped that link in for you as well. So Chanel says, yeah, many people hire copywriters to do this, and it's another option. 100%. If you have the budget to hire a copywriter, I would 100% recommend that. I love my copywriter, but this is great for like just creating. Conversion.ai is great for creating reams of copy, right? Which would cost you a small fortune with a copywriter, let's face it. So I love my copywriter, and I still 100% would use my copywriter for all of my, sales pages, etc. But for things like social posting and emailing and all that kind of good stuff, and creating blog posts and sort of the ongoing stuff, you don't necessarily want to be spending, hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month with a copywriter. Then using something like Conversion.ai is definitely an option. So yes, Danielle is reminding me that today the price of Conversion.ai is going up today, literally today. So if Conversion.ai sounds good to you, I would go for this Pro Unlimited. It's what I've signed up for. Look, it is $99 a month, but let me tell you, if you are using it to create content, you know how much time this is going to save you. It saves me a massive, massive amount of time. So yeah, at the moment, Pro Unlimited is available at $99 a month, and that is going up today. So it's the last day of their launch pricing. So Zenta actually set up her podcast on her website. Gosh, how long ago, Zenta? Maybe 6 months ago. And Zenta is not the most tech savvy person in the world. She won't mind me saying that. She's not a fan of tech, and it's really easy. And Zenta has a podcast that she created. She's created Champagne Moments. It's a wonderful podcast. In July, there you go. So we created hers in July. Danielle is saying she made 8 blogs in a weekend using Conversion.ai. Totally, 150%. So Zenta's saying, no, she's not. So it was actually July last year, 2020. So Zenta's not, So sorry about that, guys. I got unceremoniously kicked out of that broadcast, and I'm not quite sure what happened. So I'm hopping in here to just quickly end off for today. I didn't want to leave it without saying goodbye to you guys. I hope you've got massive value out of today and this week. Please pop questions into the comments, pop me DMs, let me know if you'd like to work with me in any way. A quick reminder, if you do want to work with me, this is where you want to go. You want to go to onedaywebs.com/go. And I've got 6 of the different ways that you can work with me over there. So don't hesitate to hop along, but also just pop me a DM anytime. I also want to know, what content do you want to see me creating going forward? So have you loved this live series? Please let me know. I need all the encouragement I can get. I'm thinking about doing some really short video content going forward, little, quick little 5-minute everyday tips. And I would love to hear from you and know, what do you want to hear about? And what kind of creator are you? What kind of website are you building? Are you trying to DIY your website? Are you building an online store? Are you building an online course? Are you building a membership site? Or are you somebody that's a course creator, that's an experienced course creator, and you're really looking to take things to the next level? Let me know, who are you and what you need. So please do just pop in my DMs anytime and send me some feedback and let me know. I would love to know what content to create so that I can create stuff that's going to be really useful to you guys. So thank you for this amazing week. It's been an absolute pleasure being on here, and I really hope you've all enjoyed it. I will catch you on the next live series. Get onto my mailing list if you haven't already, and make sure that you know when I'm doing the next live series. Cheers, everyone. Have a good weekend.